So in Britain, the Crusader Mark II and Mark III have been grouped. So this is a situation that I talked about before, where if you group vehicles, it technically lessens the research, because it means that you only have to research the first vehicle in the group, and then the second vehicle is kind of a gimme. It's really the main reason why I bet you if you talk to a lot of German players, including myself, if you have a look at the Panzer IV-J, which was added in after all the other Panzer IVs, there's probably a reason why that one's not spaded or not researched for you. It's because it's grouped, and it's also worse than the Panzer IV-H that comes before it. But yeah, grouping vehicles does reduce research over time. It does mean, as I said, that you have the other issue though, where people don't research lineups and stuff, and it seems like they added in sequential research for the Crusader anyway. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of is how it is. Because of the fact that they've also moved the Crusader Mark II and Mark III to rank 2, which I think is a positive change. Remember, ranks don't matter when it comes to matchmaking. The only thing that matters in matchmaking is battle rating. Ranks are literally just an arbitrary way to, to sort out how to research the game. They're there to put limits on you, so you can't just like blast through the game by basically buying a high tier premium and then like researching a high tier vehicle. They're just there so you gradually go through the game in more of a progressive way, instead of just just going crazy with it. So yeah, and also they've added active scouting and allied forces repair to the Crusader Mark II and Mark III. So once again, another lower tier vehicle that gets access to scouting. This is only a positive for the game. Giving people access to more mechanics. I still don't really understand why rank 1s don't get access to scouting. I've always found that very weird, especially for certain vehicles that it would help a lot, but maybe the argument is the Gaijin don't want like rank 1 vehicles brought into high tier games just to be, scouts, because of course the mechanic doesn't change from rank to rank. But I think, at least right now, when we talk about, vehicles moving to rank 2, it's still positive that they are moving to rank 2 because of the scouting, additions. The Cromwell 5 and 1 have been grouped, so therefore you don't have to get the Cromwell 1 if you have the Cromwell 5. I think you do anyway, though. I think you research both of them, and the reason for that is because the Cromwells are really fun, and they also make a basis of a really nice lineup to be able to do events. That's another thing I haven't mentioned with some of these vehicles moving ranks, so most events in the game, they're either between like rank 3 and rank 7, so therefore, you have to use vehicles in those ranks to be able to complete them, but a lot of them over the last few years have actually moved to a rank 2, rank 7 idea, especially when it comes to stuff such as, the authentic decals. I think daily tasks are still closer to the idea of like rank 3 and stuff like that, or rank 3 and above, or similar things. And then when it comes to specialized tasks, they're also like rank 3 and above, but a lot of things in the game right now are rank 2 to rank 7 when it generally is looked at. Bernard is now set on my computer, so if there's a cut, for a fact he turned it off. So yeah, moving a lot of these vehicles up means now that you can form lineups like the T50 or the T126. Let's say we get another like Operation Shipyard where you could use from like rank 2 to 7. You can now run like a really fun light tank Soviet lineup at 2.7 and be able to compete in that event. So I'm happy about that. The Tetrarch and the Daimler, they're getting sequential research as well. The Valentine Mark 1 is moved to rank 2, and now you have to be able to research the Daimler before you have to research the Daimler before you get access to the Valentines, and the Valentines are going to be grouped. So once again, adding in sequential research to these vehicles, but at the same time, making it so when it comes to, the vehicles, they are grouped. So I'm wondering if this is going to increase research, if this is going to decrease research. It's kind of hard to tell when it comes to them. The Aviation, oh no, we're not there yet. Sweden. So this is probably the biggest change, and it comes at a surprise to me. if I'm honest with you. The IKV-91 and the USH, or the USH-405. So they're getting switched places in the tech tree. So now the IKV-91 is going to be where the USH is. Now the USH is in rank 4, it's right now at 7.0, and the IKV-91 is in rank 5 at 7.3. So moving the USH to rank 5 means that it's going to be more effective at researching. It's going to be better because you're able to efficiently research rank 6, which you weren't able to before. But the IKV-91 going down means that, it will only be able to efficiently research rank 5. And that to me is kind of sad, because the IKV-91, in my opinion, is a fundamentally better vehicle than the USH. I think the USH is a vehicle which, you can basically sit in a corner, and if people aren't paying attention, it can annihilate 3 people incredibly quickly, right? It's one of those vehicles. But the problem is, if you have any kind of teamwork, if you have any kind of machine gun, it's very easy to knock out an USH, and even if you don't want to do all those things, you can just artillery the damn thing. And the USH doesn't have access to scouting, it doesn't have access to, any of those mechanics, so it's pretty much a one and done chump, You sit somewhere, you hope someone walks past, you blast them to the whole living hell, and then you run away. And I feel like there is this weird, miasma around the USH being this, really, really wonderful and, useful vehicle, but it is literally just one use, and that's it. And on the majority of maps that don't suit its wheeled style, so any desert map or, any snow map, basically, it is really limited on what it can do. But anyway, the main change, even though these two are switch places, which I wish they didn't, but it is how it is, the IKV-91's going down to 6.7. Why? I don't understand. I will say that when the USH was moved up to 7.0, I was kind of annoyed because it destroyed the 6.7 lineup of Sweden, which was pretty fun. The STR V81, the USH, which was there as well. Then you had the J21 and the A21, the J21RA and the A21RB. But even though, I was kind of sad that it was annihilated, I don't think the IKV-91 going down to 6.7 is the answer. The IKV-91 has access to some really good mechanics. It's fast, its armor is lacking, but it doesn't really hull break, so it can always survive a shot if it gets hit in the turret most of the time. It has a 4-man crew, so it's very hard to one-shot it. It has access to 400mm penning heat FS. It has access to a laser rangefinder. It has access to scouting. It has access to really good smoke grenades. It has access to speed. How is this a 6.7 vehicle? This is RU-251 levels of ludicrousy. And yes, the RU-251 is still a 6.7 vehicle, but we all agree it shouldn't be. So, I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with this change. Maybe if you wanted to put the IKV-91 at 7.0, but even then, I think it's fine at 7.3. I run it with my 7.7 vehicles, and I run it very well with my 7.7 vehicles. And you can definitely up-tier it even more because of that good penning heat FS, and just use it as a passive scout. So I don't know. It seems odd to me that the BR is going down. I don't necessarily agree with that. The next one is some aviation tech tree changes. So there's some sequential research being added at one of them is being added at lower tiers, the SPD3 and the TBF1C. It's been implemented, but between the P36G and the P40E, and also the F2A3 and the F4F3, it is getting removed. So technically, now it is easier to research through the lower ranks of America. Because of the fact that those vehicles are losing, their sequential research. So, yeah, now it's easier to get through rank 1 and 2 of America. The Germans, so all of the Italian planes, they've been grouped in the German tree and moved to the premium section of rank 1. I mean, it makes sense. All of these vehicles that they talk about, the Italian ones, they're all hidden anyway. So them just kind of being there is very odd. The SM79, all versions, may I just remind everyone, there are 7 versions of the SM79 in the German tech tree. If you want to see them all, I'll just show you them right quick, because a lot of people are under the false belief that there is only there is only 5 of these things. I want to show you that there is 7, and you shouldn't forget them. So you have the BIS, the Serie 4, the B, the BIS TM, the 79AS, the 79 Serie 8, and the Serie 1. Never forget about those 2 extra little boyos which are sat there. I know that they got left out of the, they got left out of the Italian tree, but still. But anyway, they're moving the SM79s to the premium section. As I said, that's kind of fine because they're basically gift vehicles at this point, since you aren't able to research them. The BF109B1 is being moved to rank 1, so that kind of loses some of its ability in stuff like, certain battle tasks and certain events, but then again, I'd never heard of anybody using it as a vehicle to be able to do those things, and also it's a 1.3. Like, I don't understand why it was a rank 2, apart from, its affiliation with the BF109 series. Also, the E1 is being moved to rank 1 too, and also will be sequentially researched with the B1, and they're grouping together the E3 and the E4. So this is actually slightly better for... Wait a second, what is going on? So they're moving the E1 to rank 1, and it's going to have sequential research with the B1, and it's going to be grouped with the E3 and the E4. Is there a little bit of miscommunication here? Because the E1 is already grouped with the E3 and E4, and they're both in rank 2. Or is it saying that the B1 and the E1 are going to be grouped, and then the E3 and the E4 are going to stay in rank 2 and be grouped together? Because otherwise that seems odd. If this is to be believed, then this group is going to transcend a rank, which is something that we don't see in War Thunder. So yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Between the JU-88s and the H6, you now have to research the JU-88 first. I think that's fine. They've grouped 2 of the JU-87s together, so they've made that easier to research. They've moved the Duck to rank 2 and located before the B2, so they've realized that the B3 is worse than the B2. The one with the big stonking 75mm is worse than the one with the MK103. I mean, yes, that's true. I think we can all agree with that. And they've put the A1U4 before the B2U4. That also is good for the ME410. And they've moved the U4 and the B2U4 to rank 3, and they've also linked them to the HS129. So overall, that's good as well. Just means, once again, lower ranked vehicles that you'll be able to research easier. The G91R3 has been moved to rank 6, so it looks like this is going to be kind of the end of the line for the vehicle. I'm wondering, with the research increases, if this is going to drastically increase the modification cost of the vehicle. One thing to also note is whenever you have a vehicle which is at the end of a line, so a great example of this, if you want it in ground forces, because it's kind of insane in ground forces, is if you get a vehicle such as, let's use America as an example. So if you look at the research costs of the modifications for something like the M68-2 or the M3 Bradley, and compare it to the ones before them. So if you compare like the Bradley, let's say, to the Sheridan, right, which is literally the same BR, just slightly before it, if you look at the modification cost, the Bradley's ones are so much more expensive than the Sheridans. Like the rank 4 Bradley modifications, there are more of the modifications at the same BR, remember, but they are 27,000 apiece. The rank 3 ones are 25,000 at a piece, and then if you have a look at the Sheridan, they're 10,000 apiece for rank 3 modifications and 10,000 apiece for rank 4. This is a phenomenon in War Thunder, which is known as, if you are modifying or spading the last vehicle in a line of vehicles, then it actually costs you way more research to actually research the modifications compared to normal vehicles. So if you run into something like a Bradley, something like an M68-2, something like a TAM, and you're like, why is it taking me so much longer to grind through this vehicle? That is the reason, because for some reason in the game there is a system implemented where if you are modifying the last vehicle of a part of the tech tree, it is just harder to modify. I don't know why that is. I think it should be removed. I don't agree with the fact that it exists. I'm just letting you know it exists. And it also exists for the G91R3. And my guess is those modification costs are going to go through the roof. The Ak-1 has been moved to rank 2. So once again, this is good. It's a 2.3 vehicle, I believe, and it has no business being at rank 1. Hasn't for a long time. It's the highest BR vehicle apart from some of the light bombers and attackers, and for some reason it's just there by itself. So now that they've pushed it up to rank 2, they've grouped it with the Ak-1B and need for sequential research. I think this is fine. They've basically just made it so you don't have to now research a vehicle, but they've grouped it with another vehicle that you'd normally research anyway. The lags are getting a bunch of changes. They're grouping them together, and they're also changing some of the locations of them. Before the LA5, the I-15 BIS, and the M62, they've been moved to rank 1 in a separate branch before the group with a lag 3.8 and a lag 3.11. Interesting. I mean, there is a big gap there, and if they're putting it across, that means pretty much that you're going to start playing, stuff like the I-16s much earlier than you would before. The PE3 has also been moved to rank 2. The PE3? Which one? Just the standard PE3? Where the hell is the standard PE3? I've got the PE3E. Is it talking about that one? I got the Peshka 2s. Oh no, there we go, the PE3B, so the 2.7 one. So they're moving that from rank 3 to rank 2, so its research is going to be less. Its ability to research is going to be less. The PE3E and PE3 have been grouped, so, you don't have to research one of them going on. And the Ak-4 has been moved and located before the AR2. So they're just swapping those around. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So that won't make any difference. The Hurricane Mark L, they're moving that to rank 2, and they're going to link it to the Typhoon. I think that's fine. Once again, I think generally, at least at lower tiers, having BR vehicles 1 to 2 being rank 1, and then vehicles 2 to 3 being rank 2, and then 3 to 4 being rank 3 makes the most sense. So seeing stuff like the Yak-1 at 2.3 and the Hurricane Mark 1L move up from 2.3 to rank 2, I think just from a general game sense and, without thinking about it too much and research, I think it's much more welcoming to a player to be like, okay, well, instead of dropping into the game at 2.3 and, facing stuff which I'm probably not used to yet, having to use some of the, BR1 to 2 vehicles, I think is a good way to go. The Nimrod Mark 1 and Mark 2, they've been dropped from the group with need for sequential research. So this is the first one which, instead of being grouped up, you now have to research both. I mean, obviously it doesn't make too much of a difference because they don't really cost a lot, but those Nimrods are not very good vehicles. They are really tiresome to play, at least in a realistic, maybe in arcade the better. They've moved the Mark 10 Bowfighter to rank 2, and they put it before the Mark 6C. So, are they changing its BR as well? Because the Mark 10 actually has a higher BR than the Mark 6. Or is this... Yeah, it has it in all game modes, it has a higher BR. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if we're going to get a BR change for the Mark 10. The Whirlwind Mark 1, it's been moved to rank 4 and located before the Brigand. So I think that's fine as well, because obviously that the reason why they've done that is because they're moving the Mosquitoes down, so they're basically just swapping the Whirlwinds and the Mosquitoes, and that's pretty much because the Mosquitoes keep going down in BR over and over and over again, because, well, they picked 2 Mosquitoes which don't really fit the game. Hopefully we get more versions. So the Hornet and the Swift, they're also linking, so you'll have to research the Hornet before getting the Swift, and that's fine for me, because the Hornet's a really fun vehicle. I think everyone should give it a go, so, that's fine. The Key 10-2C has been moved in line and located before the A5M4. Wasn't the Key 10-2C the one which was removed? The one which is kind of just floating about in the ether? If you want to have a look here. This was removed from the game, right? like a very long time ago. So seeing it moved before the A5M4, I suppose it makes it, easier to see, but for a new player, which is this is supposed to be keyed towards, I don't think it'll make a difference. Unless it was, not removed and I'm thinking of the wrong vehicle, which could be fair enough. So the key 32s, the linking with the J191, the J1 N1, and the key 45 Co, they're linking them. The F1M2, they've moved it before the key 21. I mean, that F1M2 is a rough sell for a lot of people. It's pretty much only useful in like naval, and that's about it. So yeah. Rough. B5N2 moving to rank 1, and the key 109 moving to rank 2. Not a surprise. The B5N2 is 1.7, and the key 109 is 2.7, and it keeps dropping lower and lower and lower in BR because it's trash. So moving them down, as I said, it equates to my idea of like rank 1 being BR 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, and so on. So yeah. The 2002 has been moved to rank 2, and I think it was rank 1, right? Yeah, it was rank 1, so moving that up is fine. It makes it more useful for research. You can research rank 3 vehicles with it. The Series 1 and the GA, they've been grouped, moved to rank 2, and they've also linked them in research. The Series 1 and CB, they've been grouped as well, and located before the CN for sequential research, so overall that's good. And then the Farman and the NC223, they've been grouped before the POTES with sequential research. I mean, that's one of those where even though they've grouped them, I'd say give them a go, because the NC223 is very good and the Farman is game-breaking. You can take 3 of them out and end the game in 5 minutes. The MS406C1, it's been moved to rank 2 and located before the MS410. Makes sense, sequential research once again, and the research tree after the A35B is now distributed in the following order. So this is of course for France. So at rank 3, it's going to be the Hellcat, the Helldiver, the King Cobra, then at rank 4, the F6F5N, the AD4, the F4U7, and the F8F1B. The other ranks remain unchanged. So how does this actually affect France? So it starts off with the F6F5, where before it started off with the Helldiver and the P63C5. So this is at, rank 3? So they're moving down the King Cobra to rank 3, and they're moving the 5N up to rank 4. I'm not sure I agree with that, but then again, it makes sense BR-wise, because the F6F5N is a higher BR than the P63C5, which, I suppose the only reason is because of its radar and its access to technically better guns, but I will say technically. And then when it comes to rank 4, they've pretty much just set it up by BR as well. Yeah, they've gone... So instead of now, which is 40606360, it's now going to be 43606063. So they're just making it so as you go down the tree, you're increasing in BR instead of being higgledy-piggledy, which I think is fine, because as you go through the tech tree, you should increase in BR. That should be seen as kind of just a standard, so I think that's good. And then the last one for Sweden, the J20 has been placed before the J22A. I mean, that makes sense, because the J20 is worse than the J22A, and its BR shows it. So a lot of these changes that we see, pretty much, a lot of the changes that we see here are because of the fact that over the years, certain vehicles' BRs have changed, and they're just putting them into the correct position where they should have been since the BR changed. Like a lot of these are, okay, so we moved a vehicle down to 2.3 or 2.7, now there's vehicles which are above it, which are either 2.7 or 3, below it, which are 2.7 or 3.0, now we need to address that. So I think overall, this new system is fine. I would have to crunch the numbers when it comes to when it comes to looking at if this has actually made it easier to research or harder to research, like how many vehicles got grouped and how many vehicles got sequentially researched, and then how much RP it would take to go through it. But I generally don't think, that will have actually changed too much, because as we talked about, the cumulative RP change is minus 400 if you take out the G91R3. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I think most of these changes are positive. I disagree with the IKV91 change. I think it's fine where it is. Has a lot of mechanics which make it really, really powerful. The only ones I find kind of odd are some of the changes when it comes to the German stuff. Like, you know, I don't really understand moving all the Italian stuff out, apart from, you know, the kind of gift vehicles. If it means that we get to a state where, you know, newer players who weren't able to get those vehicles back in the day, if they're able to actually, you know, grind those vehicles out in some way, maybe they are new squadron vehicles or something, I'd be down with that. You know, I'd be fine with that. If that's how they have to, you know, fix the system, sounds good to me. So yeah, overall, positive changes. I don't think it'll affect tons of people, but I tell you what, it will make the grind a lot more making sense for newer players. Because think about it like this, right? So even with a simple change of moving up the Hurricane Mark 1 late or moving up the Yak 1, which was 2.3, now new players are going to play like some of the 101317s instead of going for straight the Yak 1 and getting bodied by people in 2.3s to 3.3s. So it's just a better system for them to grind through more. You know, just a normal grind through instead of being at a level where they shouldn't be from the start. So overall, I do agree with these. It would be nice to see a reduction in other RP areas, as I've said, such as specialized modifications, and then also the idea of BR changes based on game mode. That would be lovely to see, but you never know. Maybe we'll see some of that in the future. Some of these changes in RP cost definitely set up certain BRs changing in the future. So my guess is we're going to see a BR update in about half a month's time to, you know, look at this stuff as well. But anyway, as always, it's been wonderful chatting to you. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. I just want to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Daniel Stanton, Jay Wilt, John Ryman, Martinez, Super Cacti, Trigger Hippie, Eugens Terry, and also Elove Goat and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.